Hello, hello, and welcome back to Ready, Set, Respond. This is a show where we talk about different topics related to our multifamily experience. I am so grateful for you being able to join today. I hope that you enjoy this conversation. We're going to have a great guest coming on. I'm your host. I'm Carla Alise. I'm the Director of Research and Performance with Apartment Ratings and Satisfax. And after today's show, please make sure to head on over to our Satisfax education page on Instagram and Satisfax on Facebook, where you can add a comment with your favorite takeaway for a chance to earn that personal reward. But let's get into it. What we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about networking, professional networking, why it's important, how do we do it? And when I thought about this topic, the first person that popped into my head was Gabriella Jones. She goes by Gabe. I've known her for a very, very long time. And what stood out about Gabe is how she doesn't just network, but she builds meaningful relationships, and her partners, her clients, her friends, they really value what she brings to the table. So when we thought about this topic, networking to succeed, I really wanted to bring Gabe on to share all about how she does it, how she's built this fabulous network within our wonderful industry of multifamily. So we're going to talk with Gabe. Before we bring her on, though, as you guys know, we do our polls. So we're going to do some Ready, Set, Respond polls. So if you're with me, if you're online listening to this program right now, grab your phone, scan that QR code that you're seeing on your screen. I want you to get ready to respond. We want to get your opinion on what networking means to you. So jumping into our first poll question. Let me get that up here. Starting out with, what is your primary goal when you attend networking events? Are you attending these events to build professional relationships? Are you looking for opportunities, job opportunities? Do you want to gain industry knowledge? Are you seeking mentorship? I think for me, that's a big one, is seeking mentorship. Now, you can pick more than one option. We want to know, what are your primary goals when you're attending networking events? All right, so lots of people looking for those relationships. Looks like we're also neck and neck for knowledge and mentorship. Some other opportunities out there. Fantastic. All right. I know you guys are with me. Thank you for participating. Let's go to our next poll. All right, moving on. Let's ask, which do you find more challenging in networking? Starting a conversation with someone new or maintaining that connection? You know what, guys? For me, it's both. I am very socially apprehensive. Sometimes in big crowds, I get a little introverted. And then once I do find and meet someone and we click and there's a relationship forming, you know, when you work from home or you work in a different city or you work in an office, how do you maintain those connections? I find that very challenging. So again, I'm really excited to talk to Gabe about some of her tips for keeping those relationships going. All right, maintaining those connections. All right, 50% of you. So let's make sure we ask Gabe what her secret is there. This one's a little different. It's not a poll, but I want to know, so this is an open forum, which multifamily industry forums or groups do you use most frequently when you're professionally networking? Are there any multifamily groups that you have found beneficial or that have really helped you connect with others, you know, learn new things? And what are they? So go ahead and start typing those into the box. And while you guys are responding, I think this is a really good time to bring out our guest. Gabe, are you with me?
I am. Hello, Carla.
Hi, Gabe. Thank you so much for joining today.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you, Carla, for inviting me to be your guest. I so appreciate the privilege. I'm super excited.
Oh, well, again, I've always just admired how much your customers, your clients, your network admires you. When sometimes when you think about an industry partner or a salesperson, it feels, a little predatory or like car salesman. But your customers do not get that vibe from you. And I've never got that vibe from you. And you and I were on a sales team together once when we worked at move.com.
Yes.
And you kept me on my toes. Let's just put it that way. You knew everyone, not just in your territory, but in my territory and all across the country. And everyone always had such great things to say about you. So I can't wait to get into it. But before we get off this slide, what are your favorite multifamily forums and groups?
I have a few of them. And first, I'm going to start with a quote that one of my teammates do. He likes to bring up. It's a quote from Jim Rohn that says, "Giving is better than receiving because giving starts the receiving process." And it's so true when it comes to networking. I love that quote. So thank you, Stu, for always mentioning that. But so with the connections that I've had in different areas, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. For example, multifamily insiders is something that some professionals in Vegas ended up starting. And so they basically network with each other, some industry partners. They put together a team of people that are really connected in our industry. And they were so kind to invite me to be a part of it. And as they are creating events or whatever, we kind of get together. It seems like almost everybody knows everyone in that area, in one way or another. So that's one way of doing it. I've started my own in the past of networking industry partners, where if they're in different areas, what I really try to do is, because of course, nationwide, it's really hard to kind of connect all the time with everyone. So since I'm in Southern California, I'm not around, say, Washington or Florida or anything like that. So what I had really tried doing in the past is really creating my own networking peers that were in different areas. So I think that's really important. Multifamily insiders, making sure that even on some of the social networks, there's other groups that you can be a part of. So that is really super important for me to make sure that I'm involved in a lot of those. And especially as my territory is really large, that's how I'm able to really penetrate and connect with a lot of different friends throughout the nation.
Well, multifamily insiders, guys, you heard it from Gabe first. All right, so let's dive in. Gabe and I put together some tips for building and maintaining your professional connections. So we're going to try to get through, there's 6 of them. We're going to try to get through them pretty fast. So the first tip Gabe wanted to share with you was to define your goals, right? Set goals for what you want your professional network to be or to achieve. So Gabe, when you were first starting to build your network, what were your goals?
Well, my goals was to make sure that I didn't get fired from my job. So that was number one. So because I started on the operator side and then transitioned as a supplier partner, I needed to learn really what that meant. And so because it was so new to me, it was great to have a mentor that was also my supervisor, that was super connected. He really had built strong relationships. So this is Mark Lacey. Both of us have worked with him in the past. He's a legend in California. But that was super important for me to kind of learn from somebody that had been doing it for quite a number of years, had a great reputation. But that The goals were really, we had specific goals that we had to maintain. So for me, it was like, I need to get out there and start connecting with people. But it was more than connecting with people. It was really building relationships. That's really what I saw from even the supplier partners that I used to work with. Since again, I was on the operator side, I'm the one that ended up setting up meetings with those industry partners, and there were specific ones like Mark Lacey that were my reps, and I really admired, respected the way that they did it. It was really I felt like a friend was visiting me. And so that's what I really wanted to mimic. So my goal was to really build relationships, connections, and building them on what they needed, not being that used car salesperson. Look what I have here. And,
Yeah.
nobody wants that. So
No.
really, that was the first thing.
Absolutely. Now, we put together a few examples of networking goals and some questions you can ask yourself as you're thinking about how you want to build your network. These slides will be available for you to download on the Satisfax website shortly. So if you want to refer back to these slides, please feel free to download them. Tip number 2, and Gabe, I remember you just using social media a lot when you were first building your network. What I remember most are your photos. And so my question was, what was the most important platform for you when you were building your network? And what features of that platform did you use most and find most beneficial?
So when I first started, it was Facebook. And because obviously, that was easy. It's free. Most of the social media platforms are free for you to go ahead and post whatever you want, right? But you want to, of course, keep it professional. I definitely attended many events where I love taking photos. I love videoing. And that really grew my audience, even on Facebook. That was like super important on Facebook. And sometimes we're at events where I would even have people taking photos and saying, hey, share this one. But I didn't deem it appropriate for professional reasons. So I made sure that I was also watching out for others that I thought, this really isn't going to put you in the best light. So that's super important to always think about what you're posting. Sometimes we do make mistakes for sure when we're posting. So we need to acknowledge that, take accountability for that, and make sure that we address it as soon as we can. But for the most part, Facebook was really big right at the beginning. LinkedIn is really my focus now. I still, will post on Facebook, but really on LinkedIn for professional reasons. That's really where I'm able to share. There's so much great information that we can share on LinkedIn. Again, it's free, and it's really branding. You're the ambassador for your company, and you're also, it's your reputation, it's your brand also on anything that you're posting. So we need to remember that. Sometimes it can be very personal on LinkedIn, but we have to remember it's really a professional outlet where other professionals are really looking at you on your reputation, on what you're putting out there. So that's really super important. So I love LinkedIn. I do also follow on Reddit quite a few multifamily different forums that are on there. But that's really to gain information that I could also use on LinkedIn. Instagram, I will go ahead and use Instagram. I'm still trying to figure out TikTok, how to leverage that on a professional basis. So if anybody has any ideas, please reach out to me on that one.
Absolutely. So I was scrolling through my feed not that long ago, And I came across this post that you made, which I thought was fantastic. You had met up with an industry friend, gave her a shout out, and then talked about how forming these relationships are so important. And then that person went back and said, you've been a cornerstone partner for many, many years. And this conversation is just, out there for everybody to see. And I thought it was a really great example of not only how you are building relationships, but how those people value those relationships. So I wanted to share that. And I also wanted to ask you, where did you get the hashtag? How did you come up with the hashtag Gabe on the Go? Because I see that in so many of your posts.
Yes. So I have to give that honor to Rhonda Ruiz, who I used to work with at Apartment SEO. He was Ron on the road, and he's like, you're Gabe on the Go because you're everywhere. Here's the thing is that because I post a lot of events that I've attended, and believe it or not, I don't post all of them, but
Wow.
I do post quite a bit of them. And people start saying, oh yeah, you're Gabe on the Go. So it's kind of funny that it's kind of stuck, and it kind of is, kind of a cute little hashtag. But because I'm at different events, or I'm in different state or city or whatever, that just kind of happened just from posting from all over the US, really.
Well, I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. Talk about a personal brand, right?
Yeah.
You're Gabe on the Go.
Yes.
Active listening, tip number 3, when you're building your professional network, it's so important that we actively listen, whether we're in a group, a discussion, or just meeting somebody, new one-on-one. So can you describe a time where active listening really helped you build that relationship, and contributed to your professional network?
Sure. That's so important. It's a good question because so many of us have our phones, a lot, whatever it is in front of us, and people really aren't paying attention these days. And it's so important to really be present in a conversation and acknowledge what somebody is saying. We don't need to interrupt. We just need to listen and just be quiet and really listen to what they're saying, because sometimes they may say something, but if you're really listening and really thoughtfully, you can really pick up on some things that may be going on more than the conversation that you're actually having. So that is always really important. For example, I was just in Minnesota, for example, and talk about networking. I was in Minnesota for the first time on vacation. And it was really great to be able to connect. And I thought, do I even know anyone in Minnesota? I've never even been there. And then when I really thought about it, I realized, oh, my old teammate, Paula Larson, lives in Minnesota. I can reach out to her. Mia Hughes, also, who I've met through networking from other friends. I realized Mia lives in Minnesota. And then I realized that someone we've been talking to, a prospect, really great people over there, that they were also in Minnesota. So I took some time, and I know when we're on vacation, we should really just unplug and really not think about work. But I really wanted to take that opportunity to be able to meet up with some friends in our industry, find out what's going on, how I can help out others in that city. And just kind of find out, like, is there really a need? And in listening and networking, also with the prospect that I ended up meeting up with, who I feel is more of a friend. Also, I could find that we did have a solution for what is needed. So again, it goes into personal, it goes into business. That's why it's called multifamily, because it really is like a family.
Exactly. And I think that leads to our tip number 4, right? That we need to offer value. If we're not listening to what our friends, our connections, are going through, their challenges, their struggles, their successes, how can we then turn around and offer them even more value, whether that's sharing information, or connecting them with other, topic experts. So what strategies have you used to continue to offer value to your network?
So, again, I really feel that when we're there to help others, everything else, it really comes back to you because we're there not just to sell your product, whatever it is, because I think most of us, we've been in it for over 20 years. Um, you're not going to work for a company that doesn't offer value. That is a given. If you're working for a company, you should be passionate about what you're selling, but you have to also realize that you need to be there for even when it's for something completely different. It's not just the sale. That's how the connections, that's how you build that rapport, the relationship, the strong relationship with those in our industry. And as time goes on, they can trust you, they can respect you, vice versa also, because most of the people that you want to surround yourself with are those type of people, are people that really care about other people, people that are smart, of course, that are innovative, but also it's going back to that connection of what you can do for them. So that's really the value, is that everything else is going to come to you when you have those values. So even with when I decided to work for the company that I work for, ResidentRadius, every single person that was our core people that I know at our company, those are the values that they have. They have strong relationships. I really respect who they are and how we can work together. So I think that's always super important.
Yeah. Values, when it comes to our personal values, what do, our even bring it down to like morals, right?
Yeah.
What we want to be a part of, what we support, what we feel is wrong. That alignment, I think, in a network and even in a professional career, I think it's so important and kind of understated, not talked about as much, right?
Yeah.
Are we working for a company who shares our values? And when we do, that really helps bring a sense of calm, of enjoyment, and allows us to really be our best selves and help our network even more. You've got to believe in it's, especially when you're in sales, you've got to believe what you're selling. When you're in leasing, you've got to believe in that product. You know that your residents are going to get the support they need when they move in, because that really comes across when you're building those relationships. All right, I want to go back to events.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked earlier, we did our poll, we talked a little bit about what kind of events. There's been this debate going on, Gabe, about multifamily networking events, specifically around trade shows.
Yeah.
What's your opinion about networking at trade shows, and how do you go about using these different types of multifamily events?
So, good question, because we think about those things even as a company. Trade shows, how valuable are they? So I think there has to be a very thoughtful process in which trade shows you're attending. I really feel that there's specific associations involved with the trade shows that are really great in helping you, that they will help you in making connections that you don't have. I'm just going to give you an example just offhand of two specific associations that I know are really great, and that they are very connected with the operators and owners as well as the suppliers, and that's the oh my goodness, now it's the Washington Association. Mm-hmm. So that is a great one. Arizona also, AMA, is another great association. they do such a great job. Both of those associations do such a great job, not just for the owners and operators, but also for the suppliers. I think there's a real respect on all levels that I really, really appreciate. Now, I'm not saying that, there's other associations that don't do the same thing, but I know for a fact that those two, with trade shows, you have to be really thoughtful on those that you're going to be attending. I mean, what has the ROI been? Sometimes the ROI isn't until a little bit later. I totally get that. But if you find that you're not really getting the type of people that you need at these shows that you need to be in front of, then why are you waiting? It's so expensive. I mean, look at NAA. Like, that was a great show for us. You really have to work alongside with what is going to be happening. Just at the booth, like, I'm not crazy about being at the booth for sure. I just a lot of times think that it's a waste of time. Some companies do a really good job. I think ours does, because we're really concentrating on who's going to be there. And honestly, a lot of our really great meetings are before the show, after the show. It will be not at the actual trade show. So you really have to be thoughtful. I totally agree with a lot of people that think like, trade shows, not so great. It really depends on the trade show. I think other events, meaningful events, even we set up our own small, intimate events, even with other industry partners that are very connected, that turn out to be really, really great. We get the same out of it as we do a big trade show for a lot less money, and a better connection and better relationships that are built on those.
Absolutely. From a trade show perspective, I love the education, right? When a trade show is coupled with some really good education sessions, obviously I'm biased, I'm on the education team at Satisfact, but anytime we can learn something new. And I know when I was first in the industry and I went to my first couple of trade shows, connecting with those educators, right? The people that were hosting the classes, following them, learning from them, building relationships with them really helped me learn and grow when I was first starting out in the industry. And now, as an industry partner, I really do love being able to present new information and ideas at those education conferences. But I'll have to say the same thing when it comes to that trade show floor. I wish that more of our clients would come and visit us. I wish that we can, really have those personal conversations, get to know one another a little bit more. But for me, it's so loud, and I think I might need some hearing aids. I can never hear people, and I always feel, again, a little apprehensive. So making sure, again, like you said, that there's a strategy there, that we're connecting with our clients with the right people, and that we're building those relationships, whatever environment it is. Now, we put together a list of some forums and groups that you may or may not have heard of. A couple of them, the Multifamily Media Network is a new one. They're doing a bunch of different podcasts. If you're looking to expand your networking, here are some ideas. There's the Multifamily Mentor Matchmaking Clubs. There's the Cadence Marketing Solution Run Club. Revise has a really great program, Multifamily Insiders, like Gabe mentioned earlier. So lots of, and these are just a small portion of the groups that are available to us in multifamily, where we can meet new people and network with new people. But this year, Gabe, did you see this year at NAA? Did you see the affinity groups pavilion this year?
No, I didn't.
So I had never seen it before, and it was very impressive. There are affinity groups popping up that are multifamily specific. And so if you don't know what affinity group is, it's basically a gathering of people that have a like mind or a shared experience. So multifamily Q space, multifamily queer space is an LGBT multifamily group, melanin and multifamily, once warrior. There's multifamily femmes. So you can get Latinas in property management, Hispanos in multifamily him. So these are new groups that are popping up and they're looking for members. This is also a really great opportunity to not only connect with multifamily colleagues and peers, but also ones that share maybe in your own experiences, right? So I thought that was really neat and wanted to definitely give them all a shout out and share with the audience. If you're not aware of them, Google them, look them up on LinkedIn. We really want to see those affinity groups continue to grow and offer value to their network. All right, last tip number 6, follow up. All right, I'm guilty of this. I meet someone new, I connect with them, and then nothing. Gabe, how do you stay in touch with people when weeks or months have gone by? How do you keep that relationship alive?
Well, I'm going to answer that, but that's so cool that you brought up the other different groups. So there's a few of them that I could definitely join in. So that's super cool. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so on following up, it's super well, it can be easy. There's a lot of free cards, right? Digital cards that you can get. We actually use at ResidentRadius, we use Popl. I used to have another digital card, but now that we're using Popl, Popl, it's a little bit easier. Well, it's a lot easier. So I think with digital cards and with you have a QR code, whatever, you share it with somebody else, and then automatically you get their info. So what you want to do is immediately follow up with them by even there, right? You can even just kind of say, hey, great meeting you. This was great. And then what I like to do, I don't like to bombard people like a week after I've met them. I might wait a little bit. And especially if it's a big trade show like NAA, I'm going to wait like another week because everyone's trying to catch up from being out the week before. And then I'll try to make those great connections of like, hey, can we go ahead and chat? I'd like to learn more about your company, whether it's through digital cards. So they're on my phone now. Of course, email, and you can do snail mail. I think a nice card every so often is really nice. Actually, not so much every so often. I think we need to be better at that. And I need to be better at it. But I just recently kind of went on this note card that I need to send out note cards. So I was sending little thank you cards for meeting me and taking the time. But a lot of times it really is just emails, a text message if I ended up getting their cell numbers. But I really try to do that. Sometimes it is hard, especially if you're in different areas, but that's imperative. That is just a part of what we need to do to stay in touch with people that we meet.
Yeah. And I imagine if we were active listening and we have an understanding of what that person's challenges are, what their needs are, then we can follow up naturally. If we're like, oh, we just ran across a solution. I know someone who's been looking for that solution. Let me share that with them. Or here's an article that may be relevant. Let me share that with that person. So there's multiple opportunities. All right. So here are our 6 tips, guys, for building and maintaining professional connections. Gabe, before I let you go, want to play a quick little game with you. It's a game we call Fact or Fiction. I'm going to read you a simple statement, and you need to let me know if I made that all up or if you think it's true.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
You're ready.
All right, audience, you go ahead and play along with us. You can scan that QR code. So fact or fiction, according to LinkedIn, most people, 73%, have been hired as a result of someone they know making an introduction or a connection, or because they had a personal connection to someone within the company. What do you think that is? Fact?
I'm going to say
or
fact.
You're going to say fact. All right. Let's see what our audience thinks. Okay, right. Everyone already saying fact. Okay. 5 people saying fact. All right. We've got even in the chat, they're like, yeah, that's right. Why do we even bother submitting applications, right? We just need a network for those opportunities. And that is absolutely true. You are correct, Gabe. It is fact. Absolutely. Gabe, thank you so much for joining this conversation today and sharing some of your thoughts on professional networking. To our audience, if you want to network with Gabe, I put a QR code here. You can scan that. It'll take you directly to our LinkedIn profile where you two can connect and maybe share some multifamily knowledge with one another. Again, don't forget to head on over to our social pages to add a comment. The best comment will be awarded a personal prize. And don't forget to join us for our next conversation. I have Steve Want joining us for It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which is going to be all about sense of community. I know that sense of community is such an important factor. We know that from all of our surveys when it comes to renewal likelihood and all sorts of other outcomes. But what does it mean to renters? And has it changed? Is it the same today that it was years ago, or has it evolved? So we're going to talk to Steve about that. But Gabe, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Have a wonderful day, guys. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.